Hi guys, and today we are going to be looking at this special locomotive. This is a train pack. This is from the 2020 range that Hornby announced in January. Mine is a centenary range, well, the 100 years of Hornby, basically from 1920 to 2020. This is a retooled version, and it's more to scale that we expect today than back from the 60s version that some people still have. It's got nice artwork on the front. As you turn over, it's got a picture with some writing of the model and its history of the model, and this is limited to 1,500 pieces, and they all have a certificate as well, and the names of the coaches, which are Times, Dispatch and Experience. And the standard version has different names as well, which I mentioned in the model history is coming up. There you can see the two men, it looks like, the rocket and the three coaches. This looks like it's in a foam style packaging or polystyrene. I've heard rumours it's probably polystyrene. We will have a closer look at the loco after the model history. Here is some model information on the Stephenson'S rocket. In 3.5 inch gauge, Hornby do a live steam version with track and coaches as well to go with it. In double O there's a lot more. You have the Dapple Master Kit, which is a plastic kit in double O gauge. Also, TRIANG did a Stephenson'S rocket from 1963 all the way till 1969. TRIANG also did a coach pack as well, which was available from 1964 to 66. They also did a locomotive and the little tender by itself from 1967 through to 68. But in 1982, Hornby did a double O presentation pack of the Stephenson'S rocket that came with 3 coaches. In 2020, Hornby announced in their range that they will be doing 2 versions of the Stephenson'S rocket, and it will be new tooled and it will be DC ready. The first one is R810, which includes crew, the rocket and 3 coaches, which names were Times, Experience and Dispatch. That comes in the standard packaging or new tooling. And they are also doing R3809 in the retro TRIANG packaging back in the 1960s to celebrate the 100 years of Hornby Railway. This pack includes a certificate, the crew of the era, also 3 coaches, which are Globe, Renown and Wellington. They are all that Hornby will be doing. In July 2018, members of the Hornby development team visit the National Rail Museum in York to undertake a comprehensive survey of the static rocket replica. Visiting before the museum opened to the public, and this enabled designers to get a proper sense of the locomotive, as well as checking some vital measurements. By October the same year, the design team had completed not just the locomotive and tender, but the first class coach as well, and 2 crew members as well that will be included in the model. You can also buy a 5-inch gauge Stephenson'S rocket as well, unsure of the manufacturer though. So first off, we'll start with something I don't normally show, and that's the manual that comes with it, the instructions of the locomotive. This one tells you what it is and what it is. It's an 022. There's some interesting things in here. Tells you about the lubrication and what to do. It has a long life motor. Shows you where to lubricate, which is them 2 red dots there. And on the tender and loco, it's them 2 red dots there. Also tells you where the chip goes, which is in the water barrel, and where the men belong, if you want to add your men. Still got the TV presser thing at the back. But yeah, there's a long life motor. And also next up we have the certificate of authenticity by Hornby and the NRM, even though it doesn't really say NRM on the box. Gives you some information regarding Hornby and the loco as well. Also gives you the number. Mine's 0220 out of 1500 of the limited edition packs. And here is the Coleman, the fireman of the locomotive. If you can just see carefully, it's got like a spike sticking out of his foot. That goes into the holes that are in the tender, the small tender that's there. Hornby have painted these pretty nice, and it's a nice addition to a rather nice locomotive. And now we'll move on to the driver. The driver looks like he's doing some sort of dance, if I'm honest with you. But he's got the traditional outfits of the day. And he goes in the holes again on the locomotive. You see the spike that's just there too. And now we move on to the coupling system. As you see, there's the holes that go over a little loop on the coaches and the locomotive. Wouldn't be my style of coupling if I'm honest, but it does make the loco look more traditional for the era. Either for NEM pocket ones or something like that, so you could run it with other stock, would be nice. But they are nice couplings. The only issue is the plastic, and I don't know how long they're going to last. We start off on the locomotive where I normally do at the front of the locomotive. We have some really fine intricate piping down here to the whistle, which I think is a whistle at the top here near the crown. We also have some fake buffers that, of the time is correct, it didn't have buffers, it just a stick out bit there. The wheels are modern and nice. And you can see the pistons, that's basically what they are, pistons, either side of the locomotive. And you can see some gold piping just round the lower bit of the chimney or smokestack. You have two wires either side of the smokestack or chimney holding the chimney up. You also have these rods going down to the wheels in this nice yellow the wheels are. The rods themselves seem to be plastic, like quite a lot of the model is, if I'm honest. We have some intricate pipework under here as well. Some more plastic bits around the piston heads. We have some painted gold bits. One looks like a bell of some description and a dome. I think it could be a steam dome. We also have the rocket name just here, which I think is separately applied or very well printed anyway. We also have the traditional trailing wheel that the rocket has, because the rocket is at 022. We also have the footplate where the driver stood, not sits, studs of the era. The yellow livery of the locomotive is lovely. We'll move on to the tender. The tender is got the wood effect, same as the barrel of the locomotive. It's in a barrel shape. Some lovely axle details down here. The barrel here itself does have the DCC chip in place. There is some coal, which I'll show you in a minute there as well. Both sides of the locomotive and tender are the same. On to the end of the tender, you can see the water barrel and the supports. The supports are just there below it. We have some black lining on the end of the tender. We have the little hook where you add the plastic chain link couplings to. As we move on to the coaches, all the coaches are the same. This one is dispatch. The other two are times and experience. All of the coaches have Liverpool and Manchester written on either side. So there would be Liverpool and the name of the coach, and then Manchester. Also have some detail, some writing underneath, which I can't read from here. We have the old steps here because there was no stations when these were around, so you just had to climb in. You have some fine detail on the doors. We have the glazing. We have the roof racks. Like I said, it used to be a from the horse and cart style. We'll just put them on the wheels. We also have the seat here, which I'll show you better later on, where the old drivers used to sit. And we have the buffers, which are not sprung. We have some axle details down the bottom as well. As we move on to the ends of the coaches, both All ends of the coach are the same. You have the steps here where the drivers, the old drivers used to get up when it used to be horse and cart. You have the seat 2 just above it here. You also have the rack where the luggage used to go, and I think it possibly still does. I think we have the light in here for the gas as well on top. You see like 3 black things there for the gas. And we have the little hook down here where you hook the fake chain links to. And finally, we look down on the coach. It's a lovely white thing. In the centre there, I think that's where the luggage used to go. And you see the little fine handrails all around it. All 3 coaches are the same. Stephenson'S rocket. Stephenson'S rocket was an early steam locomotive of the 022 wheel arrangement. It was built for and won the Rainhill trials held by the Liverpool and Manchester Railway in 1829 to choose the best design to power the railway. The rocket was designed by Robert Stephenson in 1829 and built by the Forth Steel Works of his company in Newcastle upon Tyne. Although the rocket was not the first steam locomotive, it was the first to bring together several innovations to produce the most advanced locomotive of its day. It is the most famous example of the design of locomotive by Stephenson'S that became the template for most of the steam engines that followed in the next 150 years. The locomotive was preserved and displayed in the Science Museum in London until 2018. It was loaned to Newcastle Discovery Museum between the 22nd of June and the 9th of September 2018, to the Science and Industry Museum in Manchester from the 25th of September 2018 to the 8th of September 2019, and then it moved to the NRM in York later in 2019. Here is a list of innovations that the rocket had. It had a single pair of driving wheels. It also had multiple boiler fire tubes. It also had a belper pipe, cylinders close to horizontal. It also had the piston directly connecting to the driving wheel. It had a separate firebox. As much as the real one still exists in the museum, there was also a few replicas made. In 1923, Buster Keaton had a fictional replica built for his film Our Hospitality. 2 years later, the replica was used again at the Al St. John film, The Iron Mule, directed by Keaton's mentor, Fatty Oakbrook. The subsequent whereabouts of the replica is unknown. There are, however, at least 2 other replicas of the rocket in the US, both built by Stephenson'S Rocket and Hawthorne's in 1929. One is at the Henry Ford Museum in Metro Detroit, suburb of Michigan. The other is at the Science Museum and Industry in Chicago. The earliest full-size replica of the rocket seems to have been one depicting the London and North West Railway postcard, therefore it's pre-1923. Cutaway replica, static one, was built in 1935 and displayed for many years next to the original in the London Science Museum. And in 1979 a further working replica of the rocket was built by locomotive enthusiasts in the Springwell workshop at Bones Railway for the 50th anniversary celebration. It had a shorter chimney than the original to clear bridges at Rainhill, and the track bed is deeper than it was in the 19th century, giving it less headroom. Both of these replicas are now based at the NRM in York. The rocket has appeared in some fictional places on TV and books. As we know, it featured in a Buster Keaton film and a St. John film, The Iron Mule and Our Hospitality being the films. It is also featured in Thomas Tank Engine. In Thomas Tank Engine TV series, Stephenson's rocket is represented by Stephen, a friend of Sir Robert Newbrit, the Earl of Sodor. Stephenson first appeared in the series as King of the Railway, although the design is based on the post-Rainhill modifications. Stephen is identified himself as the original rocket, describing the Rainhill trials and his subsequent work of the years. The name Stephen is given to by his designer, Robert Stephenson. Here is some information on the Stephenson's rocket. The fuel type is coal. It was built in 1829. The wheel configuration is a 022. It's of a standard gauge, which is 4 foot and 8.5 inches, if I am correct. The loco weight is 4 long tons. Fuel type is coke. It has 2 outside cylinders. Maximum speed is roughly about 30 miles an hour, which was a great speed at that time. It operated under the London and the Manchester Railway and Lord Carlisle Railway. The current real one is at the Science Museum, but a few replicas are at York too. So next up will be the points test. Hornby in their manual do say it will do Hornby second radius. I am curious whether it will do first radius or not. But yeah, so next up will be the points test. See how well this little thing can do. It seems to manage that pretty well. I'm sure it could do slower if I wanted, but it's not running yet. So yeah, we managed them points pretty good, I've got to say, for a small locomotive. Next up will be the slow speed and a running session. There's going to be nothing with it, just it by itself in all its glory. So next up is the slow speed. Managed that pretty well, DC. I haven't ran it in. So I read the instructions and it's not running it in. So yeah guys, that's the end of the running session and the review. Just to give you my opinion, like I said, there's nothing else running with it at all on the layout. I'm sat on the fence about it. When Hornby announced this in January 2020, I got really excited. I haven't really got this excited over a locomotive in a long time. But having it now, yeah, no, I'm a bit gutted, to be honest with you. Yeah, there's some great detail in the locomotive, and Hornby have gone to town on it compared to the TRIANG version. For example, it's a lot more accurate, a lot more fine detailed, but then that brings a lot of issues for me. Like I said, these rods here, just there, I believe they are plastic and they look cheap. Yeah, the wheel lining's nice. All this is plastic all the way up here. This feels plastic. The connection there with the hook is plastic, and you see it's bending, and yeah, the wires keep getting in the way as well. Same with these ones here. Yeah, they may look the part, which they do, but the plastic, and they take forever to get on and off. The little hook, just there where you hook it on that side, and the same with that one, and they are a nightmare for me. The coaches are too light. They roll around too easily. It all feels 3D printed, if I'm honest. It looks stunning, don't get me wrong, it does look stunning, but it feels cheap at the same time. It feels too plasticky. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm slightly gutted about it. I was expecting this locomotive to be die cast and have this and that. No, it didn't. And yeah, they cost 160 to 190-ish pounds for a plastic locomotive. Is that really what we need in this day and age? I don't know. Like, looking around now, I see some damage to the loco. What Hornby have done is nice. I think they could have gone differently about it. If I'm honest, they could have, let's say, put a bit more metal in there, a bit more die cast somewhere. It needs it. It really needs it. Would I recommend it? If you're into your steam, and you're not bothered which steam you collect, yes, I would recommend it. Preserved locomotives, yeah, because it's preserved, and this is based on a few preserved ones. And in Hornby's website, it shows you how they did it, and yeah, they actually did a great job researching it. Anyone else, diesels? It's going to be one of the novelty items for him, I think. Would I say it's Loco of the Year? No. It got stuck a few times on my layout, and yeah, it's not the flattest of layouts, but I can't really see any hills. It just kept getting stuck, and that's with 3 coaches, and you can't, like I said, I wish Hornby would give you an alternative for the hooks, like, NEM coupling style ones, just so you can change them and try and make them a bit more easier to connect. It's just me. I don't mean to rip on it. I really don't. I'm just gutted at the quality and cheap feelness of it. The only way to describe the cheapness is, the Kitmaster or Daypole kits you can get that you build yourself. It feels like one of them has had a motor put in it. Yeah. Good try, Hornby. Good try. Anyway, guys, I don't mean to rip on it. Like I said, this is it for me now. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Goodbye.